Hey guys, welcome back. X Rebirth, the officially unofficial Let's Play, episode 15. I'm Enigmius, and today we're solving a problem, a long-standing universal problem. It's the great mystery of the 300 food rations. If you've played the campaign, you may have come across this issue and been at a loss as to how to solve it. Now, I went around looking for different options. Some of them involved editing the save game, which I did try, and I wasn't able to get the appropriate results, and it actually made me a little nervous. Editing any part of the economy makes me question what kind of butterfly effect is going to bite me in the ass later. So then I put myself in a position through a lot of ship capturing and whatnot that I was able to come to a solution of my own without editing anything outside the game. I can actually play within the rules of the game and resolve this issue. We're going to go over that in detail. And then we're going to show off my fleet, the ill-gotten gains of my piracy activities. You can see here, this is my container Rations. It's carrying the 300 space Happy Meals that we picked up in a previous episode. I've issued the sell order to the captain, and the captain has brought the ship into position to execute the order. And you can see it's aligned itself, it's moving into position here.
Delivery of wares imminent.
And that's what happens for a lot of people. The captain announces we're about to perform the transaction, and then the ship just pulls away, having done nothing. I don't want to get into a long diatribe over what could, should, would have happened here, except to say that if a little bit more information had been provided to the player as to what just happened and why, it would have put people in a position to solve the problem within the game without feeling like something wasn't working. All I'm going to say. So the solution now, first of all, the problem is that the station is full, and people have identified this, they've recognized this. You can see just by moving your targeting circle over pretty much anywhere on the station. You can see we're looking at the solar energetic station, and the third line down is the storage, and it tells you it's 2.159 million units out of 2.160 capacity. It's full. It's basically full. So that's why we can't sell the food rations, and it stands to reason that if we can do something to reduce the amount of wares in the storage of the station, that we will have room then to sell our goodies. So that's what we're going to do. Now, one thing that we have to keep in mind is that the most prevalent wares on this station are energy cells, and in order to buy energy cells you need a freighter of some kind that's capable of carrying energy cells. Not all freighters are created equal. Some carry containers, some carry bulk goods, some carry liquids, some carry energy cells, some carry everything. So that's part of the learning curve, is understanding what kind of freighter you've got. For example, my Rations, which is very fast at moving away, but not so fast at moving in. Just by kind of semi-targeting it here, moving the circle over it so that it shows that we've got the ship there. It says Rations container. Means this freighter carries containers. It doesn't carry bulk goods, energy, or liquids. That's all we need to know that this guy is no good for carrying energy cells. So, we've got this ship down here. This is our Titterel that is in our squad, very important, and it carries everything. It's one of the best parts of this ship. It carries bulk goods, containers, liquids, and energy cells. So what we're going to do is, I know where this is. You'd have to fly around the station and find it. You're looking for an icon like this. It's got a plus sign, just like Burgers Plus. This is Zapping Plus, apparently. It's got the Thunderbolt on the briefcase. Tells us that this guy is selling energy cells, and it's got 1.079 million energy cells for sale for 3 credits apiece, because it's got a lot of them. And you know what? I found out that if I'm a little bit patient, I can get an even better deal. So now we've got the price down to 2 credits, 50% off. So we're gonna load up our Titterel with energy cells, because we can, for this price, we can either sell them at a profit or we can use them a little bit on down the line, I think. So we go for the trade thing.
We're looking forward to our new task.
Make sure we've got the appropriate ship selected. This one can, in fact, carry energy cells for 2.5 credits each. We're going to buy 130,000 because that's all we can hold.
That's agreed. We're on our way to meet up.
That's it. Now, one of the things that it's really good to understand is that a lot of the values that are shown, like, for example, it's now showing that it's got 130,000 fewer energy cells than it did before we issued that command. It's because it's not showing you its physical inventory, it's showing you how many are available for sale. We've made an offer to buy at 130,000 units, so it's saying, okay, we won't promise those to anyone else. We just have to get this rather slow freighter over to here to pick up the wares before it will actually be reflected in the physical inventory of the station, which is what we see when we highlight over. You can see it's still showing 2.159 million out of 2.160 million. So the physical inventory hasn't been impacted, but the total available for sale has. So that's one thing to be aware of, is we're not using that as an indicator here that we've got space now. We still have to use the main primary inventory of the station, and I see a skull. This could be another capital ship for capture. It's another Baylor with a wing of fighters. So after all that fun, our Titterell is approaching the energy cell cellar. Took a little while, not gonna lie, it took a little while, but there's so much to do around the station. At no point did I ever feel compelled to sit there and just watch the ship flying around in space, waiting for it to get to where it needed to go. So this actually won't take much longer. Oh, there's something there. Oops. This is a very large, very slow ship. I don't know how many credits I estimate I made while waiting for it to get around here, but it was enough to make it worthwhile. I definitely came out ahead in the deal. And this is all ships when they're doing this process. The approach is the same. They're lining up their drone bay with the drone bay down there, and then they'll move into position and we'll follow it in closely, and we'll be able to see the happy little drones beginning to move back and forth. Now you can see this guy is, my Titterell has stopped, so he's just kind of making sure he's lined up, and here we go. Slowly maneuvering into position.
Ready for receipt of wares. Please don't scratch the paintwork.
Now this is how it's supposed to look. We can see the drones, they're loaded down with goods. emerging from there, and they fly straight across into here. And they do their droney little thing inside the ship. I don't bother to follow them and see what they look like. Because realistically, I just don't care. And then they come out and they're empty. I like it. It's kind of a nice little detail that's kind of overshadowed by certain complaints that may or may not be accurate or relevant. Point being, this is how it looks like when it's working. Now, if we highlight the station, I say highlight, but you know what I mean. We point at it until it comes up in our information pane, solar energy sticks, and already it's showing that it's got 1.929K out of 2.160K. So we're in good shape. We've got lots of room to spare. And so now we're going to cruise on over to the other side where our Rahanas is just kind of hanging out at a very odd angle. And we're going to set this up again. Food rations.
We're looking forward to our new task.
You better be. Make sure we've selected the right ship. The Rahanas, yes. You're going to do the food rations.
The quantity you want.
You're going to do 300.
We're on our way to meet you.
And then we're going to shut all this down. And this guy, yeah, he starts moving right away. He's in probably the best possible location for this transaction, because I had actually sent him to do it a while ago, and he got here before the Titterel got to its designated loading area, so I kind of told this guy to stop for a second. He moves so much faster. You watch this guy before you've seen a Titterel move, and it seems so slow. And then you watch the Titterel move into position, and this guy looks like a race car now. Same thing. Lines up. Make sure he's, within the white lines, not touching the sidewalk. And then just slide on into position. Now remember, this is only 300 food rations that we're dealing with here, so it's not a large transaction.
Delivery of wares imminent.
But the key detail is that we do have a drone that has emerged. It's empty because it's flying into our... It's not going to hit the drone bay. It's going off. It's fine, though. It doesn't... I don't care. I don't care, because it's not make the drone fly into your drone bay so that it looks properly done. It's get 300 food rations on the damn station. So there we go. The drone emerges with the food rations. Lovingly carried. 300 space Happy Meals. Finally arriving at their designated station. Mission complete.
That deal is all sewn up now. I'll send you a report of the details.
So we got both the Titterel and the Rahanas completing their transactions at exactly the same time, and our next mission is to build a station, which will involve that construction vessel up here. Pretty sure I showed this in a previous video. That's done, by the way. That whole process is done. Here's a construction vehicle. This will eventually turn into a station. So that's really all that whole 300 food rations was about. The station is full, so make some room on the station by buying some stuff and then sell the food rations. It's so simple, and if it had been explained adequately, I don't think it would have been one of those legendary bugs that gets a lot of attention, because it's not really a bug. It's just a situation where we're not given enough information to deal with it unless we look really hard for a really long time. So now we get to celebrate success and finally completing the mission by doing a tour of the ships that I captured while we were waiting for that whole thing to happen. Now, you've seen my Fed Helm. This is a mining ship that I captured in Albion and have never used. I've put some more mining drones on it, but I've never actually used it. We're probably going to use it once we get set up with a stable base of operations. We've got our Tyrannus that we captured during the plot mission, which is Destroyer, and is probably going to be assigned to defend something somewhere at some point. We've got Baylors. You've seen me capture Baylors. We've got those guys just all over the place. We've got one there. We've got one there. What else? I had a light soul at one point. Do I even have it anymore? I think it got blown up by somebody, which was really quite rude. I'm going to take a quick look because if it's around here, that would be neat. No, it got blown up somewhere, which happens when you've got vulnerable ships that you kind of forget about. It's not the ship's fault. But the one ship that really kind of stood out for me is this guy here. This is the Sacelum, I believe, is the name of the ship. It's like a destroyer, but it seems really uninteresting for, I think, a lot of reasons. The encyclopedia description doesn't do it justice until the last two sentences. Like, if you're just skimming to see what it's all about, it's going to talk about average, mediocre, unimpressive, all these words to use to describe it, because as destroyers go, it's not heavily armed. It's got some big space shotguns on it, and it's got some of the red particle repeaters that a lot of the ships have on them. I think it's also got some plasma cannons on it. But what you might not realize about this ship is that it's basically a flying cannon. This front section is a weapon. It's actually, we go down in between. I don't know if we'll be able to see it in this light because the sun is really quite obnoxious. This is like the barrel of the weapon. A projectile emerges from there, and it's a gun. It's a great big frickin' gun with a range of 5 kilometers and a damage rating of just shy of 120,000 damage per second. Relative to the weapons on my ship that peak at like 14,000 damage per second, this guy packs a punch. Not very easy to capture because he does pack a lot of firepower, especially down around the back end. This is where the space shotguns can be kind of a problem. The fins don't really help you very much. You might think that you could just sort of hide in between the fins and evade a lot of damage. That's not the case. These are the space shotguns here. Let's see if we can get close enough for the thing to lock and find out. Yeah, it's a plasma M8 turret. And then we've got the Hailstorm antimatter turret. We've got, and you've got your one of the force field generators, and the force field generators for these weapons is right here next to the jump drive, which is actually partially shielded by these fins. So you have to kind of get around in here to get up to the jump drive, and then you're vulnerable for all these weapons. So not easy to capture, but it's a big flying freaking cannon. We're gonna kind of stockpile these, I think, and then someday we're just gonna blow the shit out of a station for fun. I don't even think the commands are in the game yet for us to do that, but why not stockpile it just for fun and be ready? Then we've got, of course, our Rahanis. Now, I think I've shown this before. This is one, again, that I captured in PMC space right after Plutarch basically decided that we were the devil. And I said, well, if you're that mad at us, I might as well take your stuff, without really thinking about what that might do to our reputation. Because sometimes, you know, we might want to ease up on Plutarch. But it came loaded with the plasma jet LR turrets, HIT MA turrets, force field projectors, Astrobe launchers, warhead components. I may just sell all these off. I may keep them for when we have a station that can use them. I don't know. We have the Titurel, which again is just massive cargo capacity and guns out the wazoo. See, all along here are guns, more guns, force field projectors, bigger guns, guns down the sides, guns underneath. He's a big bastard. And again, if we've got something that we need carried, not only does it have lots and lots of guns, but it's unrestricted in terms of what it can carry. It can carry all 4 classes of goods, which is very, very cool. And that's basically our fleet. It's very easy to get this expanded notion in my head of just what kind of different ships I've got, when it's really just Baylors and samplings of some of the other ships that are available. We haven't actually expanded our combat fleet to the point where I would feel happy picking fights with people that fly big ships. So that's where we're at. This was mostly about the 300 food rations mission, and then rounding out the whole experience with a tour of the fleet, showing off some of the ships. This one is my favorite, even though it'll probably be a while before I see it in action. Just a giant flying space cannon. So we're going to carry on. We're now able to make our station as part of the plot, and that's what we're going to be doing starting in the next episode. So feel free to leave your comments and feedback below. If you want to subscribe, if you want to be notified when I add the next video, you can do that. You subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at Enigmius1. There's a Google Plus thing, and you can follow me on Google Plus or whatever. Add me to a circle. Do Google Plus something with something plus YouTube equals things that we now have. So thanks for watching, guys, and take care.